What is good? And we are live. What is going on, guys? I see a lot of you guys already in the chat. Shout out Bear Necessities, man. I see you guys. Thank you so much for supporting. And check those guys out, man. I see you guys hit your first 1K views on your video. That's great. So let's talk about the press conference that happened today. So hopefully you guys can all hear me. Everything should be good there. But press conference happened today, folks, okay? With Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy. There's a lot of takeaways, all right? A lot of takeaways. I got my notes here. And I'm going to be going through all of that, okay? Yeah, somebody already talking about the Chiefs. We just saw, or if you have not seen, Damian Williams has opted out for the NFL season, which means the Chiefs now will have their first-round running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, as their potential new starter. And I love Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Honestly, in fantasy, I didn't like him before. I actually was staying away because his ADP was going way too high. But now, I mean, no Damian Williams. You got to love him. So I got to update my my draft guide. By the way, if you guys have not grabbed it, grab it quickly because the season is getting closer and closer. And by the way, I think either end of this week or next week, I am going to be opening up my fantasy football leagues for you guys to join. So it's even more crucial that you guys grab my draft guide. So I will update the piece about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who I do like now, but his ADP is still a little too high for my taste, okay? It's still a little too high. He's going like back end of the first. Mid-first is too high for him. Back end of the first, I guess now you could say that. But how do you get into my leagues? So I'm going to be putting out a video, and then I will link the fantasy football league in the description. So in the description of the video, you will see it, and you can just join it. The draft guide I have is in the description of all my videos. You guys can go check it out. The draft guide should be in all the descriptions. You guys can go grab that. Time next week. I probably won't be drafting. Somebody just asked, when is your draft, buddy? I probably won't be drafting until mid-August. I think this year with no preseason, I think you can make that assumption. Maybe late August, but yeah. So make sure you guys sign up for my fantasy football league. So with that being said, yeah, thank you, man. Bare Necessities, everybody. Make sure to like the video. Help me out. Yeah, guys, helps me out a lot. And I also saw Jeremy. Don't want to forget Jeremy with the super chat. Thank you for that. Guys, I'm going to be going ahead and giving you guys the full breakdown of the press conference. But in the meantime, if you do have questions, which I will be addressing at the end, go ahead and submit a super chat. I will answer all those questions, okay, that you guys submit super chats for. Okay, so let me go ahead and answer that here. Yeah, Eddie Goldman. Yeah, I talked about that in the video. Okay, so first things first, okay? So today we had Matt Nagy, we had Ryan Pace give a press conference. We have not heard from them in a while, so it was good to hear from them after a long time. And here are my main takeaways, okay? Number one, first and foremost, we got to talk about COVID-19, okay? The pandemic and basically the update that the Bears gave. So their head trainer, his name is Andre Tucker. He just talked a little bit about how he's, how he's dealing with the Bears players and how the protocols are going with COVID-19. They seem to be very, very, I would say they're confident in preventing, obviously, the spread of COVID within the Bears players. They even said that they are not worried about the Marlins outbreak that had just happened. We saw with the Miami Marlins. So, again, just wanted to put that out there, start off. The NFL already approved the Bears' plan for COVID-19. So crossing all fingers, we should be good to go. Remember, the NFL is not doing a bubble like the NBA. So we are going to see positive tests. But for the most part, the Bears should be good. Okay, the biggest takeaway from a football perspective that I got from the press conference was the quarterback job is still wide open. And this should be expected, right? Matt Nagy did come out and say Nick Foles is at a major disadvantage because of the lack of chemistry he has with the players. And I brought that up to you guys. I said my reasoning for, if you guys don't know, I believe Mitch Trubisky will win the starting job is because Nick Foles does not have the practices, the preseason, all this time he is missing not through his own fault because of obviously the current situation, but he's not going to have a rapport with the players. And so Matt Nagy said that. He said that's a disadvantage, but he did not say Mitch is a starting quarterback. It's still an open competition. And remember, people thought Nick Foles was opting out. He's not opting out, folks. He is playing this season. So that ended up being fake news. And one thing Matt Nagy said that was really interesting is he said, I will be very honest with the quarterbacks. Okay? If they end up sucking, I will tell it to them to their face in front of the other quarterback. So if Mitchell Trubisky is god-awful in practice and is sucking it up, Matt Nagy is going to call him out in front of Nick Foles and vice versa. So, again, Matt Nagy he's a no BS guy, okay? A lot of coaches, you have the coach speak and you don't believe him. I believe Matt Nagy. I believe he's going to be honest because you know what? Matt Nagy knows that the quarterback position, getting it right between these two, it's going to determine the season. So he's going to be very upfront, okay? And how will they determine the quarterback position now? Because no preseason, you have limited practice time. Basically, he just said every snap in practice, they're going to be laser focused on paying more attention to. That's all they can do at this point, honestly, folks. There's nothing else they can do. There's literally nothing else they can do besides just focusing on that in practice on every single snap that Mitch Trubisky takes and that Nick Foles takes. Okay? So those were the big comments that they made about the quarterback situation. Real quickly on Eddie Goldman. They did talk about Eddie Goldman opting out, and obviously I spoke about that in a video. You guys can go check out my recent videos. And they basically said they support Eddie Goldman, which totally get it. Any player that is prioritizing his health and his family over playing, you can't fault them. Please don't be sending Eddie Goldman hate messages, folks. I mean, he's just doing what's right for his family, and you got to respect it. And it's funny, people that are calling out these players, I mean, they're literally giving up money to not play. So, again, just saying. But as far as any other Bears players, Ryan Pace said he has not heard from any other Bears players if they're going to opt out. Okay, he has not heard it. So, again, I told you guys yesterday, Bears reporter Aaron Lemming from CBS Sports said that there is a potential for another offensive personnel piece to say that he would opt out. People thought that could end up being Nick Foles. He just had a kid. People thought that could end up being Anthony Miller, who just had a kid. You haven't heard anything about that yet. Okay, so just want to point that out that Ryan Pace has said that as of right now, no players have told him that they're opting out besides Eddie Goldman. So that's good news, obviously, for us, for Bears fans, because, man, if we lose somebody, obviously, like Eddie Goldman, another player that impactful, it's going to obviously be a huge, huge dent to the Bears season. As far as replacing Eddie Goldman, he is confident they can replace from within. Now, we don't have a lot of depth behind him. You got John Jenkins. You got, you can move some players around, Roy Robertson. But, again, they are confident they can replace him internally, but they will not shy away from looking elsewhere in free agency. And obviously in the chat, you guys are talking about, Damian Harrison, Snacks Harrison. Yeah, he's a great piece that the Bears could look to bring in. I wouldn't mind it at all. I think they're open to it, but right now, I don't expect it to happen right now. Maybe it happens a little later, but from what Ryan Pace was saying, it seemed like they want to just have somebody from within. They feel like they have enough depth, but a lot of you guys have brought up Snacks Harrison. I would love him. I really would. Another thing, Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy are really confident in Juan Castillo. They are really confident because all the offensive line questions they got, the fact that they really didn't bring in any offensive linemen besides Jermaine Ifedi, they just said, hey, we trust Juan Castillo to make this scheme work. And even though we've got pretty much all the same players, he's going to be the big difference. So they're putting a lot on Juan Castillo's plate, and they better hope Juan Castillo ends up, proving them right, because the offensive line didn't change from a talent perspective. Okay, and Jermaine Ifedi, he's not much of an upgrade either. He's decent, gets a lot of penalties. He was on Seahawks last year, obviously, but yeah, Juan Castillo, there's a lot on his plate this year with the offensive line. Okay, moving on. Camp battles. Everybody thinks it's just a quarterback position, right? Mitch versus Nick. Not so fast, because Matt Nagy came out and said there's potentially 3 positions that he thinks there are competition that is going to happen in camp: at safety, at corner, and at guard. Okay. At safety, we think it's all going to be Tayshaun Gibson for sure, right? But not so fast, I guess. My belief has been that Tayshaun Gibson wins the starting safety job alongside Eddie Jackson. But you could have Deion Bush compete for that. So that's a camp battle to look forward to. Another one, cornerback. Who's going to be the opposite cornerback alongside Kyle Fuller, right? And so you have Jalen Johnson, who is my pick to win the job. But you also have Kevin Tolliver. You have Buster Skrine. And so these guys will all compete for that starting cornerback position. So the opposite cornerback to Kyle Fuller is going to be a camp battle. So will the safety position opposite Eddie Jackson. And then finally, the right guard position, which I just spoke about, where the Bears really didn't replace Kyle Long. You brought in Jermaine Ifedi, but you got Rashad Coward and Alex Bars. I believe it's going to be between those three. Essentially, I think Ifedi wins the job, but he said that those three are going to be camp battles that are going to happen. So it's not just Mitch Trubisky versus Nick Foles, folks. There's a lot of other spots on this team where we still have to find out who's going to be starting. Okay, couple more things here. With running backs, they said Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace said they're comfortable with the running back room. I've told you guys how unhappy I am with the fact that we don't have a third running back that I like. Ryan Nall is our third running back behind Tariq Cohen and behind David Montgomery. But really, if David Montgomery goes down, you have nobody to replace him with. Tariq Cohen is not taking David Montgomery's spot. He's a completely different running back. And so they're happy right now with how it is. Obviously, with the lack of OTAs and all that, you don't really have a chance for unproven guys, practice squad guys, as much as you did before. But it looks like they're going to go with Ryan Nall. I'm not that happy about that. I'm not a big fan of Ryan Nall, but it is okay, I guess. But that's what they said. They said they're comfortable with the running back situation. You just got to pray, cross your fingers, knock on wood, that David I don't even want to think about it. But Montgomery, if he's healthy, should have a monster season. By the way, draft him in fantasy football. You will know that if you have my draft guide. But yeah, that's what they said about that. And finally, they will make the cuts to the roster 80-man limit by Sunday. So that is the new rule now. You have to get the roster to 80-man limit by Sunday. So that should happen. Should be more cuts. We obviously saw, or if you didn't see, Trey Roberson, they cut the cornerback out of the CFL that we signed this year. I think he had an injury. So a couple of cuts happened. Ben Braunecker got cut. We got rid of Adam Shaheen, traded him. Good Lord, I can't believe we still found a trading partner for him. By the way, that ended up being a 7th-round pick, not a 6th-round pick, but I'll take it anyways, because getting something for Adam Shaheen, I mean, my God. I would literally, have accepted a team giving us lint from their pocket for Adam Shaheen. That's how worthless he's been for the Bears. But the Bears do have some cap space now, obviously, with Eddie Goldman opting out, with some of the cuts we've made. I see in the comments we're asking, what do we do with the cap space? Look, you could definitely sign, a running back, Devontae Freeman. Yeah, I've said Devontae Freeman or Lamar Miller. I want one of those guys. I want a cheap veteran running back with no long-term commitment. That's why I said no to, Raheem Mostert. I don't want to pay a running back. I just want a cheap veteran running back who can just come in here and just plug in the holes, right? So as far as what the Bears will do with that salary cap space, I don't think anything significant, maybe other than adding a running back. But we'll see. So those are the main takeaways. Again, folks, just to recap, quarterback battle, still wide open. Eddie Goldman, they support him. Very confident in Juan Castillo. We got camp battles at safety, cornerback, and guard. They're comfortable with the running backs on the roster, and we got to get the 80-man limit by Sunday. Okay, so that is the big update. Let's start with some questions now in the chat. Again, submit a super chat if you want me to answer the question right away, as we always do. Okay, so I see a lot of you guys talking about the cap space. Let me see here. Question answered right away. Yeah, somebody just brought up the kicker battle. Is it still going on? Yeah, kicker battle is another thing. They didn't talk about it in the press conference because it wasn't brought up, but We have obviously Eddie Pinheiro, but I believe Ramiz Ahmed is the other kicker on the roster. He could potentially compete with Eddie Pinheiro. I think that is going to happen. So potentially, yeah, I think there's a very good potential for that. Let's see here. I would be fine with Bilal taking the starting job and signing someone else for depth. Yeah, Bilal Nichols definitely could happen. Use the extra cap room to get a veteran at H-back. Yes, like I said, Lamar Miller, Devontae Freeman. Devontae Freeman is looking for a little bit more money, but we have some money, so I wouldn't mind that, okay? Let's see here. Do you think it's possible if the Bears bring in another quarterback just to be safe? It's like the free agent or maybe they'll scout like CFL in case Mitch or Nick Foles goes down and gets injured. Again, no chance that happens unless they get injured. You're right. So right now the third quarterback on the team is Tyler Bray. So I don't believe they're going to bring in another quarterback. It's going to be Mitch Trubisky or Nick Foles. So that's what's going to happen. Either way, we're probably going to have the best backup quarterback in the league, whether it ends up being Trubisky or Foles. So no, I don't think that happens. Who's our third running back is Ryan Nall for right now. Okay. I know I talked about, some guys off the practice squad like an Artavius Pierce could potentially take that third spot. But right now with how the situation is with the pandemic, we're not going to have a preseason for these guys to really fight for those battles. And so the guys, the veterans that have been there that know the system, they're going to get that advantage. And so that's why Ryan Nall is probably going to get that job. And he is our third running back, which I'm not happy about. Like I said, I want somebody else, but he is our third running back for now. Let's see here. I've talked about how to get into my leagues. Obviously, thank you guys for the likes. Appreciate that. Eddie is out. Oh, my God. Yes, where have you been? I have been telling you about that. Use the extra cap room to sign Allen Robinson. Well, actually, this was a question asked to Ryan Pace, and he said that the salary cap or lack thereof next year because of obviously the loss of money this year isn't going to affect them extending any players that they want to. So I wouldn't be so worried about that. I do think Allen Robinson will get extended. Where would you rank the front seven before and after Goldman opt-out? I mean, to me, the Bears were a top 3 defense with the Steelers, with the 49ers. I mean, now you probably drop them down to what, top 5, top 10? Excuse me. But it's still very, very good. When is the season going to start? I believe the season starts in September. The first game is Chiefs-Texans. I have to look up the exact date, but I think first or second week of September. Let's see here. I really don't think the season's going to happen. Folks, the season's happening. Okay, listen. The NFL season is going to happen. Now, when I say the season's going to happen, I mean the season is going to start. If you are saying the season won't end, that's a different discussion. But it will start. They've already announced it. The NFL, the NFLP have agreed to it already, so they're not backing out now. Essentially, the season's going to start on time. Again, probably no fans. But as far as if we'll have a full 16-game season, that is up in the air, but I do believe we will. I mean, we saw in baseball, right? If a team has an outbreak like they did in baseball with the Marlins, they'll just quarantine that team, and that team will probably not play for a week. And so with the NFL, though, you have less travel, right? So only 8 road games, and so it's not as much travel, and you have a week between games. So I'm telling you, it's a lot easier for the NFL than it is for the MLB. I do think a season happens. So go ahead, guys, and submit any questions you guys have for me. I'm answering questions right now. What do you think about bringing in Larry Warford in the guard position instead of bringing in a new nose tackle? Actually, Andrew, Larry Warford, I believe, has opted out of the 2020 NFL season. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you guys see it, but I believe he has already opted out, so he is not an option any longer. Why didn't the Bears sign Alex Smith? Because Alex Smith, at this point, we don't know if he's the same guy. We just don't. And by the way, we already have 2 quarterbacks that could potentially start. Why bring in another one? Let's see here. Do you think Aaron Rodgers will request a trade? Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. If you guys have not seen his interview with Kyle Brandt of the NFL Network, I'm telling you, You need to watch that interview. I'm actually going to make a separate video on this that I'll put out, giving my full thoughts on this. But man, Aaron Rodgers just, everything just came out. He was being so honest. And he basically said, I expect the Packers to pick Jordan Love over me. I know I'm not going to be in Green Bay for long. And yeah, as far as him requesting a trade, it's not. I don't think Aaron Rodgers will right now. I think if it happens, maybe it'll be down the line if they start losing. And let me just say this. So a lot of you guys were mad at me because I picked the Packers to win the division this year. By the way, only one game difference, right? 11-5 for the Packers, 10-5 for the Bears, or 10-6, excuse me. Keep in mind, a big part of the reason why I picked the Packers to win the division is because of Aaron Rodgers and the Packers drafting of Jordan Love. Okay? Aaron Rodgers is definitely pissed off, okay? And if you don't think so, go look at that interview and see Aaron Rodgers literally said when they drafted Jordan Love, I went ahead and grabbed some tequila and started drinking because he knew what that meant. So he is going to go off this year, and I'm telling you, when Aaron Rodgers wants to be, he is still, a top 5 quarterback easily. And so to me, that was the big difference between me picking the Packers over the Bears, okay? Because here's the thing. I only see this going one of two ways. Either Aaron Rodgers goes off and the Packers win the division, or the Packers literally just fall off and Aaron Rodgers just loses it because he sees that the organization, kind of backstabbed him by drafting a successor already, and he says to hell with them, and they literally are, the worst team in the division. Like they go like 8-8 or like 5-11 or whatever. I don't see it any other way. Like they're either first or last, kind of like that. Okay, so I'm telling you, Aaron Rodgers is going to be the biggest reason for the Packers this year. Any chance we see Rodgers in a Bears uniform this next year? Look, I'm going to explain this in the video, but financially it makes no sense for the Packers to move on from Aaron Rodgers for at least 2 seasons. So this year and next year, the cap hit is disgusting. Literally, they would have to eat so much dead cap to get rid of Aaron Rodgers until 2022. And even in 2022, it's still a decent amount, like $20 million, but it's feasible at that point. So, no, folks, no Aaron Rodgers in a Bears uniform, at least until 2022, the earliest, okay? Let's see here. Just want to talk. If Foles has a good year, do you see the Bears signing him long-term? When you say long-term, you're talking about like 5 years? I don't see that happening. If he plays really well this year, I could see maybe like a 3-year contract. And by the way, some people have asked, what if Mitch plays really well this year? Very easy solution for Mitch Trubisky. He's getting franchise tagged. Unless Mitch comes out and literally has, and this is what happened, but he literally has like a godly year, like a Mahomes year, where he wins the MVP or something. Like literally has to win the MVP. That's the only way he'll get like a 5-year deal. But more than likely, if he just plays well, right, does his job, he's getting franchise tagged. Because they're going to say, Mitch, you did good, but you got to do it again and prove it to us. And we'll see what happens after that. But as far as Nick Foles, I could see like a 2-3 year deal. I'm not going to say a 5-year deal for Nick Foles. Aaron is done. No, he's not. Aaron Rodgers, folks, he's still a very good quarterback. And I would draft him in fantasy this year, even if you're a Bears fan. Do you think they will go after Dak next year? I talked about this in another video. I don't believe so. Dak Prescott is going to command a lot of money, folks. A lot of money. And the Cowboys aren't just going to trade him for peanuts. Okay, they're going to want freaking picks back, and it's going to be tough. Okay? Do you think the Bears can still make the playoffs? Yes, I have the Bears making the playoffs this year with them not winning the division. There is an extra playoff spot this year with an extra wild card. Remember that, okay? So, yes, I have the Bears winning the division, okay? So, again, guys, very interesting to see what Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace had to say. Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles are speaking later this week. I may go live for that again. If you guys want me to, I may go live for that as well. But I can't wait until the season is here. Obviously, I can't wait till they name a quarterback. That's really what I'm waiting for. I can't wait till they name a quarterback, but we're going to have a lot of updates from now until the NFL season starts, folks. But like I said, the biggest thing is to make sure that we get the quarterback position right, and whoever wins that job wins it fair and square. So let's see what happens. But I am excited, folks. I really am. And again, just to give a quick plug here. Make sure you guys are following me, and you guys have grabbed my course, and go ahead and join my league when I post a video. It should be out later this week or next week. I will have more than one league, so I can hopefully have more of you guys get in here. We just got a super chat from Reed. Really appreciate you, Reed. Thank you for the super chat. I know it's early, but if you find a starter in Foles or Trubisky, what position do you see the Bears using a first-round pick on in 2021? Well, that's a good question. When you say if we find a starter in Foles or Trubisky, that means like, okay, Trubisky played well enough for him to be our starter next year, or Foles played well enough to be our starter next year. I'm assuming that's what you mean. And if that is the case, then you take a look at the position. Then your quarterback position would be fine. Obviously, David Montgomery at running back, you don't want to replace him yet. He's looked good. You had Allen Robinson at receiver, Anthony Miller. Receiver position is decent. I'd probably say offensive line. You could definitely use somebody an upgrade on the offensive line. And defensively, we're good. Tight end, you got Jimmy Graham, but we just spent a second-round pick on Cole Kmet. So to me, it points to offensive line as being the Bears using their first-round pick on in 2021. So to me, I think offensive line makes sense just because of how all the other positions shake out. But great question, Reed. Great question. Again, if you guys want me to answer your questions right away, submit a super chat. Really, really appreciate you guys. Roy Robertson Harris will have a big year. That's my bold prediction. Yeah, absolutely. I think he's got a good shot. I think he's got a great shot to break out. Guys, we need Eddie Goldman. With Eddie Goldman being out, we need people to step up now. Okay? Now is the time for the players to step up. So I hope all these players step up. Roquan Smith, Akeem Hicks. Obviously, we know Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn. But listen, I'm not that worried. The defense did lose a big piece, but I do think we have enough talent on this defense to make up for it. More importantly, we need to make strides on the offensive side of the ball, folks. That is going to be the major key. Okay? What are your predictions for the O-line this year? You think they will have better pass protection and run blocking as a result of new coach? Yes. Significantly more. Not sure about that, but a little bit more. Another super chat, Jeremiah Pantojas. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. How many games do you give either QB before you start the other one? Great question. So I actually want to maybe pull up the schedule a little bit here because I kind of want to see how this would shape up. So I like this question, by the way. So again, super chat for questions here. I'm going to go ahead and look at the Bears schedule because I really want to answer this question as best as I can. So the Bears open the season at the Lions, okay, and then we have the Giants, and then the Falcons. Okay, so let's say whoever starts ends up sucking against the Lions, the Giants, and the Falcons. 3 poor defenses. And you're 0-3. At that point, you probably are definitely thinking about pulling the guy. And then you have the Colts in week 4. Again, they're a better defense than those other 3 teams. But at that point, I would say the Colts game, right? It's either at the Colts game or after the Colts game. So a quarter of the season, all right? You got to give at least a quarter of the season. And you would have thought much longer, but the schedule is very easy early on. So if whoever wins the job, whether it's Mitch or Nick Foles, cannot play well in the first couple of games, it's time to pull the hook. And here's the thing. This doesn't mean the Bears have to win these games for sure. Like, let's say these 3, let's say Mitch or Nick Foles plays really well in the 3 games, but the defense is awful, and we lose those games. Well, you can't blame them at that point, right? So to me, it's going to be how they play in the first 3 games. I'm going to say that 4th game. So potentially 3 to 4 games, Jeremiah, is what I would give either QB before I start the other one, because I'm telling you, that's an easy schedule right there to start out the year. Okay? So great question. Again, super chat for your question to get answered. Let me see here if I've got another one. Who is your favorite player from the Lovey era? That's a good question. I'd probably say Matt Forte. Brian Urlacher. There's a ton. I don't think I have a true favorite, but yeah. Let's see here. Third quarterback on the team should be Kaepernick. Yeah, that's not happening. I answered this one as well. Okay, okay, Aaron is done. Okay, will Kmet be a starter? So, again, folks, more press conferences coming up. I'll answer a couple more questions here before I head out for making other videos, because I have a lot of videos up on for you guys. But also, I'm wondering, do you guys want me to do live streams for fantasy as well? I could do it for DFS if you guys do play daily fantasy sports, and for season long. Okay, so just saying, grab my courses, folks. I'm telling you, you won't regret it. Grab the courses. They're in the description of the links. Will Kmet be a starter this year? No chance. Jimmy Graham's are starting tight end. We paid him a lot of money. He's starting. How do the Bears match up against other powerhouses like the Ravens, Chiefs, Niners? Well, they're just not as good, right? So the Bears, to me, they're a fringe playoff team. So to me, that's kind of where they line up right now. You take a look at the NFL, I mean, absolutely, the Chiefs are better. The Ravens are better. This is just off the top of my head. The Saints are better. So there's a lot of teams that are better. The Bears, to me, I would say are a fringe playoff team. If the offense is average and the defense is elite, they go to a literal playoff powerhouse potential to be more than that. Okay? Yes, the press conference already happened this morning. Again, more press conferences coming later this week. Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles will talk as well, so I will maybe go live for that. But if there's any more super chats, let me know, guys, before I head out here. But just real quickly, if you're not following me on my Twitter, make sure to do so, because I do tweet a lot, and that's the best way to reach out to me. Twitter and Instagram, you guys can message me as well on there. So right here, you guys can message me. So with that being said, folks, those are my thoughts real quick. I will go ahead and head out and talk to you guys soon. So thank you.